So when I started the 6 a.m. club, I always imagined that it will be honest, deep conversations between two people only.
Yeah.
But when I do it in Lithuania, I have my partner Arturas.
Yes.
And he is the third guy who, because we work with more cameras and he recording on the spot.
Yeah.
He's sitting and you like talking with somebody, like deep conversation, something like that. And he's like, but then I understood how important to have your team member who is so from your circles,
Yeah. He knows what you want.
Yeah. So I will do a little introduction in Lithuania for guys to understand. Tai labas visiems, čia 6 valandos klubas ir kaip ir praeitam savo pokalbį aš manifestavau, tai mes šnekėjom praeitam pokalbį su Adu ir sakiau, kad kitą pokalbį man būtų labai įdomu pašnekinti neeilinį žmogų, tai yra Ado mokyklos Wayland Academy direktorių Jason'ą Warnick'ą ir kuo toliau, tuo labiau matau gyvenime, kad tas manifestavimas ir svajonių siekimas pildosi, dėl to, kad štai mes čia sėdim dabar Viskonsino valstijoje, Biverdam mieste, Wayland Academy su Jason'u ir filmuojam tokį visiškai improvizuotą vieną kamerą. Čia pat mokykloje yra šitos media studijų patalpa, kur yra mikrofonai ir sugalvojom tiesiog kokią valandėlę pasišnekučiuoti ir tikiuosi šitas pokalbis bus įdomus žmonėm, kurie seka 6 valandos klubą, tikiuosi, kad šitas pokalbis bus įdomus žmonėm, kurie domisi edukacija, švietimu, tiem, kurie matė Ado podcastą, kuris pasakoja apskritai apie jaunimą, apie mokymą sistemą Amerikoje ir panašiai. Mes šnekėsim angliškai, po to aš sudėsiu titrus, tai žmonės galės skaityti ir tikiuosi bus fainas podcastas. Ačiū, kad žiūrit, pasidalinkit su tais, kuriem yra įdomu. You understood a word or no?
Not a word.
So strange, yeah. Language is so strange. It's gibberish, like
Yet still, I find myself going. Yeah.
At least Jason.
That I got.
Yeah. So maybe for a beginning, I will tell you about my podcast, just to understand where we're at.
Great.
So. Long time ago, I wanted to start a podcast, but I always, had a lot of different jobs and push it back. Like you have some dream and you're like, okay, later. And one more thing, what was the issue that I didn't knew what's the main form, how to do it, and who are the people with whom I want to talk, because it was not interesting for me to grab like random people or people who are already in TV, in all the podcasts, because, in all the societies you have like interesting people and they go from one podcast to other and that's it.
Right.
So, and then one day I understood that for me, most interesting conversations and most interesting people are people with whom I'm already met and who I know. For example, my wife, my best friend, my son, my band member with whom I worked, and I had already a lot of conversations during touring. For example, we go in car, and my friend Gabia, she was the fourth character in this 6 a.m. podcast.
Yeah.
So, for example, we shoot it in car. We were driving to the tour. We had two hours drive to a concert. And we were driving and we were talking, and I think that the main aim for this podcast to capture the things that we already done. So with you, it's the same, and it's so interesting. So you are actually, I think, the 7th.
All right, that's pretty good.
You're 6th person after my wife.
Hey, that's a huge honor.
Because we started, with
smart to start with your wife.
Yeah.
Good move.
Yeah. Actually, it was a good move. And we started in our kitchen because I do it every time in different environments. Okay. We did with my wife in kitchen, then with my best friend Carlos in studio. He's my producer. You will meet him. He's already here.
Cool.
With my concert. And the last podcast was with Vidas in his room, and actually it went really well. It's like more than 10,000 views on YouTube.
way.
Everybody shared it.
Wow.
From teachers to schools to students, and they wrote a lot of comments about how interesting it was to hear from young guy about learning in United States, about his mindset and stuff. And in the end of this podcast, I told others, my dream is to talk with Jason, and I hope it will become true. So in the introduction, I told this that
Nice.
I'm happy that this manifestation works out. So I'm really
cool.
I'm really thankful for your hour, that you will give this time to me, because I know how busy you are, and I see all the projects, not only the school and all this development. So where I want to start, what's the sentence and situation where I understood that you are amazing and you are a special person? When we met 2 years ago,
yes,
and we came to Wayland Academy, first thing what hit me was the sentence, "Welcome, Vido Bareikiu," and on the sign.
Yes.
Yeah. It's so important.
Yes.
For me, as a usual person from Eastern Europe, and I think a person from Eastern Europe has a kind of good critical thinking. So I thought, oh my God, how this is polite. Then other thoughts come to me. Oh my God, these Americans so good in selling things. We got you. But then first thought comes back, but even though it's polite, it's so important.
Yeah.
We came here like a lot of miles. We fly like 9 hours, and they need us with greeting like that. So answer me, what is this? Is it selling? Is this politeness?
Okay. You're right. It could be seen both ways, but I think it's doing the right thing in being true to our mission. And if we do that, it's going to be a very compelling school for people to enroll in. So, but it's a mission-driven way of going about our business, but it does help sell. And I always talk about anyone who sets foot on our campus, whether they're a prospective student, an alum, they're delivering mail, whatever that is that brings them to our campus, we want to make sure they feel welcome. We want them to leave walking off this campus thinking, wow, there's something special there. There's a human quality to that community that I find really interesting and compelling. So I guess it worked.
It worked 100%. It was like a puzzle. First piece of a puzzle was welcoming. Second piece of a puzzle was Brianna. She did like amazing work with touring with us during the tour, because she just showed all the school, and she just said the sentence for us in the end, like, what are you waiting for? If you are thinking, because in our situation, we always start with others, that maybe when he will finish his school, he can go to foreign country to study,
right?
In college or university. And because I had this experience, and it widened all my view of the world, and I think it's really important for a man from small country, from small community, to see that not everything ends in 400 kilometers, wide, and to 2.8 million people, and when you get to cities like Chicago, New York, LA,
yes. Yeah,
it's crazy. And then a third piece of a puzzle was when we met at your place, at your cabinet. Yeah, so you showed this, and you said, my biggest aim to understand how to educate them with this thing.
Yes.
And how to do it it was 2023. You said how to do it in 2023, not 2022, 21. And for me, it was the main sentence, because I'm on the same page, because I always see so much of educating of systems who are old, like 2 years old and 5 or no. I go to my school and I meet my teachers who work at the same system. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yes, and that's true here in the United States. That's true everywhere, and even I think we really try at Wayland to balance some of the tried and true traditional education approaches that do work with where we are today. And that's tough to figure out. But generally, I think most education models haven't changed since World War I. I mean, get in a room, sit at desks, adult stands at the front of the room, disseminate the information. And so we work really hard to think about how does that fit into the context of today.
And is it true that this system was made for conditioning people? Like these days?
Yeah,
I mean,
I think I think probably it was the best system based on that time. Certainly there was education, can be seen through many different lenses. And I do think there's sort of the authoritarian model of a teacher. If you think about what we call a learning triangle with a teacher at the top, student on the bottom, and the content goes to the student. I think modern time, this isn't a Wayland thing, this is just modern education might lean towards a triangle where the top is the content, the material, the information, teacher, student approach the content together in partnership.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can tell this because, for example, now we are sitting in a classroom.
Right. Yes, this is a classroom. And like I was saying, this being in this space makes me smile because 6 years ago we had the idea, we thought students need to understand media, the consumption of media as well as the production. Society and media are really intertwined, almost one and the same. We all live our lives in some way, shape, or form through media. So we've got to prepare our students with the information and the ability to navigate that, and that's media literacy. And then almost any career that students choose is going to call on skills to produce media. You were talking about artists building posters and graphics, and there's a million different skill sets that I think students need to have regardless of the field that they go in that revolve around media.
How you know all the names of your students and all your staff? I know this skill. You're going through all the camp and you're like, hey, Mr. Bavavan, hey, Jonathan, hey, this, how you doing?
I'm glad you noticed. Well, I always give myself till Christmas. So I always say by December, I want to know I could line up with every student and I can look at their face and know their name. I bet I'm at 90% right now. So I'm on track.
Come on, no,
I'm getting pretty close. But by Christmas, I'll be there. And, that's actually a really important thing for me. And I've been at schools in my past and different experiences where, you're walking down a hallway, a teacher, a student, and two people in the same community walk by one another and they don't acknowledge each other's presence. And we know that, and something we're focused on at Wayland is a critical first step for any student to be able to learn is they've got to be in an environment where they feel seen, where they're heard, and they're known. And just the act of looking a kid in the eye and saying, hi, Johnny, hi, Otis, how are you today? And they know I'm going to ask, and they kind of laugh about it and make fun of me about it. But two things. One, I want them all to know that I see them, that we all see one another. But two, I hope they will begin to do that in their lives and recognize if I'm in a community and I pass another human being, I take the time to look them in the eye and just say hello. It's a pretty simple, straightforward act, but goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. One more really nice thing, amazing thing, what I like in your school is Mondays and these chapel gatherings.
Yeah.
So can you tell me about it?
Sure.
What is this?
Yeah. So every Monday we have assembly in the chapel, and that's usually I facilitate that. And it's really, I think of it as we're all checking in at the beginning of the week. We usually had a class or two, but it's the start of our week. We're together as a community, so we're all the students, all the faculty, and it's one part announcements, letting everybody know what's going on in school, but it's also about galvanizing our spirit, inspiring ourselves for a great week. We do a mindful moment every Monday, and so that's a meditation to just center ourselves briefly and be present. Another thing that I think is really important in a fast-paced, sort of technology-driven world, to pause and have a moment of mindfulness. There's all kinds of presentations. And then the highlight every week for assembly is a student speaker. So that's another tradition that we started about 6 years ago, with one student wanted to hear what he had to say and asked that student to nominate a student for the next week. And so that chain has continued now for 6 years. I don't tell the students what to speak about. I always say I've never censored a student. I've never changed what it is they wanted to share, though there have been some moments where some of what students wanted to say was difficult for some of us to hear. But as long as it's done in the right context, it's worked out really well. And I think that's what we all look forward to on Monday. We also do anything from, again, basic announcements, shouting out sports scores, to the infamous laugh yoga that I learned on YouTube, and sometimes bring that into the space. But it's about inspiring ourselves and galvanizing our spirit for the week.
You were saying that even though it's not honest, do it, and then your body will catch up. That's amazing. I believe so.
It's so true. It's
true. We work the same with karate team in the morning. Actually, now I understood that it's so symbolic. This podcast is 6 a.m. club.
Yes,
and I came here for a 3 weeks workshop of discipline and creativity, and we got karate at 6 a.m.
6 a.m. The club continued.
Yeah, and you have a really brave little gang of brave kids who are waking up. And today we had like really amazing final training. Actually, they got their orange karate belt.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So
they
cool.
went through, and 3 of them are so talented. I told them, I told find a fighting club in Beaver Dam and go on some weekends. For example, Cynthia and Daniel.
They're like
natural born.
Yep.
Amazing.
They could walk to a dojo down the street, actually.
Yeah. So let's get back a little bit to chapel. Do you think all this inspiration works for these kids and for this age? Because one time I had a reality check in education. Of course, it was smaller kid, like 10, 12 years, and we've got like a creative camp, and we talked individually. I gave him every student for half an hour. We talked individually. And I'm talking to him about his life, about his future, how he sees himself, how's humanity, where humanity is going. And he's listening to me, and something like after 15 minutes, he's like, "When is ice cream?" And I'm like, "No, I'm so stupid." He already switched off after 3 minutes.
Amen. Right? I know. I experience the welcome to being an educator. I experience that every day. We all do. And I think it's so funny because so many times I have, a pep talk I'm giving a student, or one of those conversations, and you're feeling it and you're hitting all the right notes, and you walk out of that conversation as the adult, as the educator, and I'm just like, man, I'm good. I'm changing lives. I should get a Nobel Prize or something for that speech. And they remember, 1% of what I said. And I think on the whole, if we're real with ourselves, look, if the students and adolescents and children, if they listen to everything we had to say, everything worked out great. But that's not how we learn. And so they do remember some of what we say, and they remember how they feel when we told them. Mm-hmm. They remember the feeling from the conversation. What are the feelings that came through in that conversation? And at core, hopefully, and I think often is the case with anyone who speaks with you, and something I strive for, is they walk out feeling that person believed in me. We were talking about a challenge or a problem. I may not remember exactly the step-by-step that Mr. Warnick gave me to solve all the world's problems, but I remember how I felt, and that's that he believed in me. And when I think about assembly, there's a lot that's spoken in assembly, and some of it's remembered, but they remember that, as far as my part goes, I know they're not hearing everything I say. I always give a last word, a little bit of advice, But I hope what they see is that every Monday I'm going to get up there. I'm going to be in front of them. I'm going to bring my best self, my best attitude. I'm going to be authentic. I'm going to be real. And I'm going to put my whole self into that experience. And if that's all they remember, that's a good thing.
Oh my God. That's so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. You even came like for a first karate at 6.
I did.
Yes. I saw how...
Notice how quickly I left.
Oh yeah, I noticed, and I noticed how sleepy you were, and you almost didn't laugh. You're like, "Oh, it's so great, you're getting out of here." But it's this extra mile is so important.
Always, really. And I let kids into the gym every morning here. So even these mornings, I'm letting kids into Field House at 6 o'clock. I let some kids in to work out, and when you're not doing karate and Lindsay. And I just can't, if you've got young people that are saying, I want to wake up early before school starts and I want to work on basketball or lacrosse or weightlifting or whatever it is, how can you not create that opportunity? And certainly I'm not going to say I'm too tired. So at a minimum, I'll get up and let people in. Can't always say that I stay to do the workout.
Even though you are 26 years old,
I am 26 years old.
How you are not losing this fire?
Because look who I live with. I'm blessed. I mean, if you work in education, you're not likely to get rich. You're not gonna probably have a couple of second homes. You're not definitely not flying private. But you are rich in relationships and you're surrounded by the energy of youth. And that's where I get it. I mean, we as educators, we get way more from our students than we give. I believe that 1,000%. And that's what keeps me young. I've always been wired, and I've always, since part of why I do what I do, school was hard for me. I've told you that, high school was not easy for me growing up. And yet it was the most critical point in my life, in my maturing, and so that's why I do what I do. But probably what keeps me around is the youth and the spirit and the energy. It's awesome.
Nice. Okay, so if you mentioned the high school, tell a little bit our audience about your background. Yeah, where you were born and how you get here.
And this is just between me and you, right?
Oh yeah.
It's a 9 to 2. Is there a remake we're gonna have?
Yeah, and 100,000 Athenians.
Yeah, so as I've always been curious, and I think I've always been a learner at heart. I would say that the model education that we discussed at the beginning of our conversation, where sitting down in a seat, sitting still, to this day, I'm currently sitting on my hands so that I stay still because I move around a lot. But probably for a number of reasons, middle school, high school. So here in the United States where I grew up, that was sort of 6th grade through 12th grade, was always challenging.
What state?
So I was born in Massachusetts, born in Boston, South Boston, lived there till I was 11 years old. And so I'm a sports fan of all the New England teams, which creates a lot of backlash.
East Coast, upper side of East Coast.
Yes, my whole life. Grew up in the Northeast. My father was in theater. He was in show business, had a theater in New York, and when I was 11, we moved right outside of New York City because he was working on Broadway. So sort of split my childhood between Boston, Massachusetts, and New Jersey near New York City, both in the Northeast of the United States.
How you are not actor?
I should have been, right? I should have been, but I rebelled. So, my father used to bring me, looking back, wonderful experiences. My father won a Tony Award, producer. I used to be backstage at Broadway shows, seeing all the different things that went into creating each show, getting to know actors. But, whatever your dad does, often you might rebel against. It's like I didn't have the corporate dad who, was all in business. I had sort of the artistic, academic, theater dad, and I kind of rebelled against that at an early age, though my first job ever out of college as a teacher was teaching theater and drama, which I was probably not qualified for. But I think they knew sort of my family, and I could pull off an improv class that's how I started as a teacher, though.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Plus, you know, when you have parents who do some stuff and you have opportunity to go to same direction, you already saw the backstage of this.
Yes.
You know,
Right.
like I can tell it from others.
No mystery.
He's like, now when he's growing up and he's searching his way, he's thinking, sometimes I'm asking, maybe it's acting, maybe it's singing. He's no way, not this part, because can you imagine how much hours I had to wait while you were waiting for your role, for your, you know, because people see the movie, see the act, but they don't see like 6 hours of backstage. You were sitting, smoking cigarettes, or you're just reading something. And I'm told like, do you remember when I had a concert, you were sleeping in a case of a piano, and he is like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Should I call to somebody?
I would call that in, report you. But that's so cool that I guess it's both ways, but that he saw all the work, all the lifestyle behind what everybody sees on a screen or on a stage, and how that plays out in his thinking about what he wants to do. And that's pretty neat, actually.
Yeah.
Cool.
You have 3 kids?
I have 4 kids.
4 kids.
4 boys. 4 boys. I have
it's
karma for what I did to my mother. That's what that is. I have a 15-year-old, I have a 13-year-old, and I have twin 11-year-olds. All boys. None of them are laid back or relaxed. They are active young men.
How you combine? It's like full-time job.
Yeah. Well, that's maybe why the boarding school, you know, I work at a school, I live on this campus. I'm always thinking about the students and the faculty and the staff and the employees. And so that translates really well. You have 4 kids, you can add 1 more or add 200 more. It still feels the same. A lot of work and a lot of joy. So,
okay. So tell me a little bit about boarding school system, because I think that's really interesting. We don't have, I think we don't have at all like this kind of boarding school where, oh no, maybe I'm lying a little bit, because my school, Čiurlionis Art School, they have like dorm, but it's of course the campus smaller. So, so for example, you started to work here like 2019, something like that. Yeah. And you came and you start to live here, like the biggest part of the staff. Yes.
Absolutely.
So idea of a campus. How about campus?
Yeah. So, and that also goes back to some of my origin. I was real fortunate that I ended up finishing secondary school, finishing high school at a boarding school as a kid. And it changed my life. It changed my view of what education could be, what it could look like. It really broke the mold for me. So, so that was my first exposure to a boarding school campus and a system. And, you know, there's in the United States and everywhere, I think sometimes there's sort of the myth that boarding school is for if you get in trouble. You know, your parents send you away. There's some of that view of things. But really what it is it's a holistic college preparatory experience where our mission is to prepare our students for college and life. College and life, both of them, by pursuing knowledge and developing character. So the majority of it's a living, learning community. As you said, the majority of our teachers live on campus, either in dorms or houses on campus or right next to campus. Your teacher, you will see them at breakfast. They will then teach you Algebra 2, and then they may also be your volleyball coach. And then you're going to see them at dinner. So you're not just seeing a teacher in class, going to the next teacher, going to the next teacher. You're completely immersed in a community of students and educators, and we're all getting a full view of one another. So if I am not so good at Algebra 2, or I don't have a great learning attitude when it comes to Algebra 2, but I love volleyball, now my teacher gets to see me in a different light when I'm playing volleyball, doing something I love, doing something I'm good at. And there's a wonderful sort of cross-pollination there, I think, for all of us. So that's the foundation of a boarding school experience.
And from our side, maybe student can see teacher from different color. Like, oh my God, this stupid teacher of blah, blah, blah. He's amazing coach.
Yes.
He's a good friend. And
yeah, I think it's that, when you're sometimes if you grew up and you were in a traditional school and you see your teacher on a weekend, at the grocery store, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like seeing an alien. But our students, they see our faculty who are parents with their children. They bring their children to dinner. They see our faculty living their lives. And so they're not just telling them what to do, but our students get to watch our teachers live their lives.
And basically all the schools in the United States have this strong free aims, free lines, like athletics, academics, and arts. Yes?
Predominantly, yeah. Yes, I think that's
because
true.
For me, it was big surprise to see the level of each one.
Yeah.
Because, in Lithuania, for example, we have like main thing is academics.
Yes.
And then school, depending on the school, on their idea, they have maybe some stronger theater group, or I don't know, maybe they're focused on some sport or stuff. But if you want to get like specifically high level, you should go to specific school of music, for example, like Čiurlionis School of Art or Panevėžys School of Sports. But there are only few. And here, like when we came to Wayland, when they showed us facilities, for example, of arts, and you go downstairs and you see like 5-7 classes for practice with only piano, with silent walls, You don't see these things, not in music school.
Right.
Then you go to your crazy sports facility, like former Bucks arena. Me as a sports fan and, with a former basketball player wannabe, that's all. Hands down, that's all, So that's really interesting. What's the idea behind this? Strong academics, and strong arts. How do you see this?
So I think a couple of things. One, another tension that we live in, and maybe it's related to this that I mentioned earlier, sort of new model versus old model.
Yeah.
And what do we hold on to? What do we let go of? What do we change? What do we add? And so one part of education is information and content passing from, one individual to another. And that's critical. And so we need to build skills. And that does predominantly happen in the classroom. We're a liberal arts model. So, and what we mean by liberal arts school is that each art, each discipline, each subject is worth exploring in and of itself, liberal, independent, and not as one track to prepare for one career path. So understanding the arts and disciplines in multiple areas, learning how to draw connections and conclusions, those are critical thinking skills that are really important. So we need to balance the information and the content with the critical thinking, learning attitude, effort, attitude, character. Some call it soft skills, emotional intelligence. And if you ask me, more and more, the information, the content is more and more accessible through technology. That doesn't mean we've got to prepare our students with the ability to research, find information, make sure it's true. That's media literacy and among other kind of research skills. But we also need to teach them the emotional intelligence and the character traits around working hard, being honest, being a part of a class, a community, how to be a learner, how to be a teacher. And so I think by looking at athletics and the arts as just equal to the academic thread as it pertains to character development, emotional intelligence, citizenship, community engagement, it's all education. And I would argue, again, I think boarding schools, learning communities like Wayland are going are increasing in their value every day. And the reason for that, in my mind, is that technology and media and all the different things happening around us make it so that a human community, a human endeavor, and those skills are harder and harder to develop in our young people and our adults as well. So the arts also, that's about understanding how other people think, how other people feel. There's, it's important to learn how to, engineering and math and science. It's also important to understand human beings, and especially in this day and age. And I think when it comes to art, any form, and same for literature, we get the opportunity to enter someone else's mindset, thinking, feelings, and experience. And oh my gosh, that feels like maybe the most important experience we could offer.
Yeah. It goes together. Everything goes together. And now I remembered we have like all these things in different parts. For example, there is a saying in Lithuania, and I'm sure there is some variation in English, the same, but like in healthy body, you have healthy soul.
Yes.
So what are we talking about? It's the main thing, healthy soul.
Yeah.
Healthy body, healthy soul. Like
Beautiful.
the one who can wake up early in the morning, work on himself, to manage to hold himself, straight, to be strong, to stand up for somebody. It's sports, it's character, it's discipline.
Yeah, I love that. So it's funny because the way that I hear that in English phrased usually is healthy body, healthy mind. I like soul better.
We say soul.
Far beyond just your mind, your soul. And it's something, we are maybe one of the few remaining small boarding schools that requires a student to engage in a sport every season. At least in the United States.
You have 3 seasons.
We have 3 seasons, fall, winter, spring. And
there are many different, many options what to do.
All different options, team sports, American football, but also cross country and rowing, which are more endurance, individual. You're on a team, but there's some individuality to it. So a lot of different options, but you are on an official competitive team for the most part every season. And I think that's an experience at a traditional public school and many independent schools as well. Unless you opt in, you're not going to get that experience. And I think that is critical, yes, on the physical health side, to develop habits of taking care of your body, eating right, exercising every day, how much that improves your sleep, that improves your soul, that comes back to your soul. Also, how to be on a team. What does that mean? To win, to lose, to work hard for a common goal. So on the athletic side, there's tremendous value. And usually when alumni come back, and my teachers may not want me to say it, I would say I hear at least equal from an alum of any era that will say, Mr. So-and-so's class was incredible and it changed my life. But just as many times I will hear this sports team.
Yeah.
Oh, and those memories and those lessons, it's at minimum, it's an equal remembrance from where alumni. I don't know.
Oh, I can remember when we traveled to Minnesota to that game and we stayed for a night and we won. And
exactly. Or we lost.
Yeah.
How devastating it was, but we still came together. All the stories, those athletic memories really ingrain themselves.
Yeah, and when you talk about arts, for example, me, I always, when I talk to some young parents, for example, I always say, if you have a young child who started to go maybe to children garden or first classes of school, you should put him to sports for these things that we talked already, of course, like main basic education and arts, and arts for the sense of the room, for the sense of emotions, to understand what is angry and what is happy, what is bright and what is dark. And you feel this and you learn this through having this first 3 years of health for parents. But but child learns
Yes.
to be quiet or to be loud,
Yes.
to see a crying person or to see a person who feels amazing.
Yeah.
So
I love that. And it also, you have to think on your feet especially if you're performing, and that's creativity, no matter, again, whether you're a scientist, a mathematician, an author, creativity is everything. And isn't that a muscle that we have to exercise and think about? And and the idea that you are reading emotion and feeling and thinking about that, I think that's couldn't be more important, especially with, again, technology and phones and artificial intelligence and all of that. So,
okay, let's talk now about stereotypes.
Great.
Because there are a lot of stereotypes from Europe to States.
Amen.
For example, let's start from the school. Like the main stereotype that I hear is, they say, kids come back and they say, this system is amazing, we're feeling good and everything is okay, because they don't learn a thing there. Their system, like they're finished 12th grade, but they're finishing like 4 years of European studying.
Yes, right. Yeah,
I
hear that. I hear that. I've heard that. Yes. I disagree with that stereotype. Wouldn't surprise you. Again, there's a balance of content. This experience is rigorous. I always have to tell when families visit, because it's an amazing place and people come and they have this experience. This is incredible. Art and sports and the facilities and, the community and assembly and laugh yoga. And I always say, but remember, it's still high school. It is not utopia. It is not Disneyland. This is hard. There is a price we pay to be a member of this school community where we have amazing times and lots of fun, but that price is hard work in a very rigorous academic program. At Wayland, the majority of our classes follow the AP, the advanced placement. That is as traditional as it gets. It is rigorous. There's a lot that goes into that. And so for any of those who think that the stereotype and it's easy, please let them know they can come enroll and they can go through a week of classes with our students. And they will see there's a lot of content. There's a lot of learning that's happening, and it's very challenging. I just don't believe that it is a mutually exclusive offering that either you can learn or you can have joy. These two things are not mutually exclusive. In fact, they're necessary ingredients for the ultimate school experience. I think.
If we talk about all schedules, so for those skeptics, I could say of being here for 3 weeks, I see, experience of others. So he wakes up at 6.
Yes.
Oh, of course, these weeks now he tried to do extra work and help me and come to my class. But still, from 6 o'clock, you're open gym.
Yes.
So for those who want to do extra work, they can come at 6 to work before the breakfast. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we visited last year, I was shocked because, me with my mindset, I'm calling to others and I'm telling them, tomorrow we go and access to our open gym and we show them how Europeans work, how we are brave and we're the only ones. And I come there like 6:05. There are like 20 kids already working out, running on a treadmill. And wow, it was amazing for me. So they start at 6, 7:15 breakfast, 8 first lesson. They have classes. Yeah, they have lessons till like 2-3, something like that.
3:45 lessons.
Yeah.
Till 3:45.
3:45. Then they have sports.
Yes, you have about 20 minutes to run back and change, and then practice starts at 4.
Yeah, you have sports like 4 till 5:30 or even 6. You need to change and then you go eat.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have like extra half an hour to change over hour.
Yes.
And then it's study hall.
Yes.
Study hall is time for homework.
Yeah. Yep.
So it begins like at 8.
Yeah.
Something like
7:30 to 9 or 8 to 10.
Yeah, and then they prepare for a night, and that's it. You need to go to sleep like at 10, at 11. You have like in dorms they have like lights out.
Lights out
when it's
10:30 and 11 o'clock.
Yeah. So if for somebody it's not hard, come on, come
it,
here and try
yes.
it. It's really hard,
Very hard,
and physically hard. Like
yeah.
every day sports, on a weekends games,
Yeah,
in the morning extra war.
Yes. And the other thing is, so that schedule you laid out, what if you're doing karate with Vidas or songwriters workshop or cybersecurity workshop class, or if you're in the musical, the students that are in the musical, in that little time between dinner and study hall, that's when they rehearse. And we have, I don't know, 30 or 40 clubs that are doing community service. So these days are full. And if anything, what our students struggle with is what to take off their plate. And that's probably the most significant challenge. Rather than motivating kids to try new things or get involved, it's about prioritizing and picking and choosing, because it's an exhausting, rewarding, but exhausting week for everybody.
But from the other hand, I always feel from the first year when others came here that you have this waves system, as I called. Push, release, release. Push, release. Is it correct?
Absolutely correct. 100%. And I think that's how our faculty function. That's how there's an ebb and flow to the school year. As a community, one thing I do in assembly every week is I try to talk about the calendar. Okay, everybody, it's hard right now. We're in between homecoming week, which is this fun, emotional release of excitement, and then the November break. We have a week in November. So this period of time is like 4 or 5 weeks where it's going to be hard work, and we're going to be going week after week, but we know this break is coming. So yes, it's a ebb and flow. And the longer you're here at school, the more you get to anticipate the rhythm and the cadence of the school year and find your times to sort of rest and recover and get ready for another challenging week.
Yeah, because others came back not overburned.
Yeah.
Not tired. And I think that's the biggest prize of this, biggest win of this system, because he always told like, oh, it was so hard, but our teacher invited us to cook marshmallows by a fire, for example, or we went to a tour to Madison, or 5 minutes, 5 minutes of camera. Okay, so
yes.
Let's go.
We okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're already like 47 minutes.
Good.
Great. So
we lock the door.
Oh yeah.
And keep them out.
Actually, usually I do 3 hours of.
It's awesome
because
time goes fast.
Yeah. Time goes fast. First hour is like intense. Then the second hour you already relaxed, and third hour you're crazy because you're tired. That's always works like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. When you will come to Lithuania, we'll do 3 hours.
I'll do it.
We'll do
it.
Yeah. I told Jason he should visit Lithuania.
I will.
Summer without a job,
summer
with family,
enjoy
the sun, and good mood. Yeah. So one more stereotype.
Yes.
When you meet American, he says, "How are you?" But he don't care. What is this?
Boy, you're cutting really close to home. Yes, because I can speak, I am as I mentioned earlier, I'm always asking everybody how they are. And yes, as Americans the stereotype is typically, outgoing and maybe inauthentic and overly excited.
Where does it come from? This outgoing.
I think the outgoing part at Wayland and probably most schools is we're excited to be here, and we're excited you're here. We're doing something cool. And we're excited about that, and we do care. This is, it's hard work educating kids. It's exhausting. You're up against a society and so many different challenges and so many different pieces. And so you're working hard and you're excited about what you're accomplishing.
But I'm not talking only about
You did general, like the
America. For example, you see American family in Europe, we're going through Vilnius capital, and we're like, oh my gosh, this towers. Can you see the tower? It's amazing. Should we go to eat here? Wow. They're like 24/7 on the show.
Yeah.
Where does it come from? Is it from educating or mentality or this showbiz? I have my theory that like Hollywood showbiz, everything gives it because it's cool to be an entertainer.
Absolutely.
Because everybody entertain here.
Yeah. I agree with you. One, I think that stereotype is legit. I think there's a lot of truth to it. And yeah, I think we are all living in our own movies. Like we're the central character. And I also think there's a lot of pressure on parents when they go on vacation. They spend all this money and they bring their kids, and their kids looking at this cathedral and they're not as excited. So parents are working.
Push them.
Look at how great this cathedral. Can you believe? So maybe there's some of that too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but very true. I know we're overly excited Americans.
But it's not overly, when you put some countries with less excitement, you should find the middle, because sometimes it's really sad when you see like really great cathedral and you see, oh, that's cool.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, amazing. What's that? And what about this? How are you?
How are you?
What's the start of how are you? Because how I explain this?
Yes.
I say when in the United States you say, hey, how are you? And somebody says, hey, how are you? You don't even try to ask, how are you?
Right.
You just say, hey, what's up?
It's like, what's up? And it's like, I care enough that I do want to know. So, hey, and the typical thing might be, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm fine, thanks. How are you? I'm great, thanks. And then now you've walked by one another on the road. So it's probably just one level up of, hi. Actually, how are you doing? We're together.
Because people from Europe, and especially Eastern Europe, they look too seriously to this because they are like trying to be like super honest and super aware, and they're like, "How are you?" And I'm maybe not good today, so I will stop and I will tell my story.
Yes.
And if he's asking and not wanting me to hear, he's not honest.
Yes.
That's fake American.
Yeah. Well, maybe there's truth to that too. So I will tell you that when I say to someone, I say it around school, like I was saying all the time, hey, how are you? If I see someone and I looks like they're not, then I would say, everything okay? Anything I can help with? I'm so sorry. But there's definitely those who are saying it but want nothing to do with the answer. There's truth to that.
Yeah, because I'm telling to my friends, because if somebody from here would like to hear the story, they would start like extra bitter conversation.
Yeah,
they would.
Yeah,
they would say like, "Hey, how are you? Hey, I'm good. I'm good. Can I have like you for a moment?"
Yeah.
How are you in general? Because I'm seeing you not in a good mood, and then they start.
Absolutely.
So maybe we just don't need to look to this, hey, how are you? Just
think of it as a greeting.
Yeah.
And it is funny to watch the European students react to me. I think they expect a quieter head of school, maybe, a little bit. And I'm a pretty outgoing guy. And so when I see them and it's the first day and I'm like, I always say, how you doing? Which is, how are you doing? So I'll say, hey, how you doing? And someone, where English is a second language, they're coming from it's like the look they give me is, first of all, what did you just say? What are the words you said? And did I do something? What's going on? And then over time, they figure it out. So.
Okay. We can try to go to wrap it up.
Okay.
But one more thing, how you see Europe.
How
you see Europe, how Americans see Europe, because there is a big what's the right word? Oh, you have to go already. Okay, so like 2 minutes. because there is a big gap between, like, Europeans say that, oh, Americans, they don't even know the parts of Europe, they don't go, but I would say the same from Europeans about United States,
Yes.
because they call this enormous system of 50 countries.
Yes.
You call it states, but actually
Right.
50 countries.
Yeah. Good.
Because California is Portugal, New Pennsylvania is Estonia.
Yeah. Good. Absolutely.
The distance-wise, the mentality different-wise,
Yeah.
and how you see Europe. Final question.
Maybe, yeah, I think there's a similar. So, I mean, I think there's a similar perception in America. You don't realize, or there's not always a full acknowledgement of the different countries, cultures, and vastly different across Europe. I think Americans look to Europe with they think about history, they think about thoughtfulness, they think about refinement, but they don't. I think there's probably a lack of understanding for sure. And I think if you got the average American, would be able to name 70% of, I'm probably being generous, of those 50 countries, of the European countries. But there's probably some misunderstanding. We have our teacher just, this is the thing about
waiting here.
They cannot imagine, oh my God, what we must be in the class. And I am excited to.
So guys, let's wrap it down. So Jason, thank you for building this bridge. What we talked just now between Europe and the United States, educational bridge. I think same vibe bridge, because I think we're kind of on the same frequency about young generation, about kids, about educating. And so for the ending, I would like you to say what you say in the end of a chapter. That's my favorite.
I love it. Well, I want to thank you for the last few weeks here. What you've done with our students and just being here engaged is awesome. I told you we get so much out of it. Thank you for this conversation. I definitely want to pick it up in Lithuania on a 3-hour in the future. And as I close out every assembly, I'll close it out with this: you are safe, you are loved, and you are dismissed.
Ačiū labai, čia buvo 6 valandos klubas.
Awesome.